you're a leader. You have leadership quality. You run a program for young boys and girls, right? But you started with boys because that was important, because that's germane to you. Nobody disrespected that. Somebody called up, wanted to know how because Lurie, before you came in, said that there's a very masculine way to lead, which is me, I, aggression, beat you over the head, do it as I say or else. And then there's a very feminine, and she related to yin and yang. You know, she said it's a very yang way. I'm not up on all the Chinese stuff, but she was like, that's very yang. We need more yin, and we need more feminine energy in the leadership space. And I agree with her, because I'm a woman, not just because I'm a woman, because I see there's a nurturing that's missing. There's a
balance.
Yeah, there's too much sword fighting.
And we should be clear that whether you are a male-identified person or a female-identified person, all of us carry within us both masculine and feminine traits, right? So saying a masculine type of leadership is like a Simba from The Lion King, right? The whole story of The Lion King is we're following Simba along so that because his personal growth is tied to his ability to be king, versus a Moana where her personal growth is tied to the freedom of her people, right? And so for Simba, there's the great trouble, there's him conquering the trouble, the climax, and then ta-da, the end of the movie is he's king. In Moana is going through a whole series of things where she is being edified, she's being tested, she's thinking about how what she's going through is going to impact the people she left behind. Very different purposes behind the movie. All of us, as a woman identified person, I have masculine within me, I have yin and yang within me. That's the point of having balance. So when I talk about the fact that we have this very competitive, I am the only king who can stand on the top of the rock, versus baby, your rock is blocking the shade for all the people down below who need the sun. There's two different approaches to looking at the same situation. And without both, you kind of end up with everyone just trying to stand on this rock instead of everyone trying to make sure that the sun can hit the ground and the fields that we're trying to grow the food in down below. I'm more interested in that form of leadership. I don't need another king. Personally.
I agree, Ashe. I mean, it happens all the time. I talk to a lot of my residents. I'm an ER physician in Kings County and downstate. I got to give them a shout out. And we work in situations that are highly stressful for everybody involved, for the patients involved, for the staff involved, really in high intensity situations. And sometimes aggression can work in your favor because you are being a little bit proactive, but at the same time, you got to be able to step back and take a look at the entire picture. What's going on right here? Who's involved? What are all the parties doing that are involved? What is their role? What is my role? Do I need to take a step back and let somebody else come forward because they have a different area of expertise? Do I just need to just sit and think for a minute and reflect on the situation at hand instead of just being overly aggressive to the point that it becomes detrimental to what we're trying to accomplish?
I think we this whole aggression thing is a misnomer. As Lurie pointed out, I'm very aggressive, type A to the 10th power, and I'm a bull. I'm literally a bull, sometimes in a china shop, and I run headlong into things. But I always stop and I ask myself, what's my goal? During periods of time when what is my goal? Because we can act and run off impulsively. And I think that what we are mistaken as aggression is also immaturity. Because immaturity will allow you to not process where we're going. And there's a lot of immature leaders out there, and I'm putting up air quotes because those two things cannot exist in the same vessel. An immature leader will send us into the abyss, which is where we are. And and I'm not talking about age, because Martin was 20-something years old, and so was Malcolm. You know, when they were at the height of their leadership, they were very young men, but they were very mature in doing things that, I mean, they had been through life. You know, Martin, I think, graduated from high school at 16 and graduated from Morehouse. You went to Morehouse as well. What, 19 or something? You probably know this history better than I do, Rob Gore.
Yeah, he was younger than I was.
Yeah. So, and people had to grow up earlier in the 50s and 60s. You know, there was a lot on a man in particular in those times where they didn't have the luxury to not be mature. I see a lot of immaturity. It's hard for me to say that because I never want to grow up, you know, not really, but we're required to see what the end game is. Yeah. And we have to ask that question of the people that you follow. Ask yourself, why are you following them? Like, what are they providing for you that you can't provide for yourself? And if they're not just giving you tools to build, instead of just every day you have to come and suckle, that's not leadership either.
Right. We're concerned about the entertainment of leadership instead of the actual what the outcomes of leadership are. So when you look at what it is, like what is leadership itself and what are our goals, we got to look at it and kind of define it about the problems that we're effectively trying to tackle and to overcome. Many of us are shouting a lot And we think that that's leadership because people are vocal, but that's just, you just have an additional platform. Have you done anything? Have you fixed the problems that you set out to fix? Are you building a collective group of other individuals that can also help you along with that process? And are we confusing efforts with results? So we're putting that effort out there, and we're shouting and we're doing things, but are we effective? And I think Lurie was talking about just feminine energy, and people identify as feminine, people identify as male, and the type of energy that we bring into situations. A lot of times when that balance isn't present, you don't have an ability to take a look at the situation at hand and recognize, am I being effective in this process?
I contend a lot of people don't care whether they're effective. They just want the dollars and the eyeballs. 866-801-8255. You know a tree by the fruit that it bears. Yep. And if all your tree is bearing a bunch of toxic ass trolls on Twitter that pay you money to see your whack ass offerings every time you put some whack ass thing out into the universe that we could have gone on YouTube to figure out. Anyway, 866-8, that is complete and total shade. But I'm petty sometimes. But I don't let my pettiness get in the way of progress. So there we go. There we go. Let's
strategic
pettiness. Janice or Janice in California, thanks for holding. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Janice or Janice in California. Janice, going once, going twice, gone. Rosalind in Kentucky, you can call back. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show.
Hey.